What's going on, guys? This is Burrs. I want to talk to you today about this Kifaru Woobie. This is filled with Prima Loft. It's really lightweight. It's only filled with 8.2 ounces. It's around a pound is how much it weighs. And you know, what we're going to do today is actually the sleeping bag test. And I'm going to do it with this Kifaru Woobie because I want to see how much I can actually push this this Woobie to the test. It's not really rated for 30 degrees, but that's the beauty of having a controlled environment to a degree and me being able to go outside is instead of before I get into a really horrible situation where I need something, I can go ahead and know that this is going to or not going to get me out of a pinch, if you will, by going out and using this. This is really rated for probably 40 degrees and above, but I'm curious to put some numbers to it and actually see what we get out of it. So here it is. This is what it looks like, in case you've never seen one. It has a rhino skin on the outside of it, which actually is, it's like all kinds of weatherproof and all kinds of stuff. So this really, you could wrap up inside of this and not really worry about the weather too much. You can see definitely is the size of me. I can pretty much, you know, put this over top of me if I'm on the ground and cover up. The one thing that I do like is that you can just kind of wrap it around you like that and get some instant warmth if you're out in the field. And like I said, it only weighs a pound, so throwing this in a pack is no big deal. But what I'm curious to see is how this is going to warm me up. And the reason I'm curious of this is because, you know, a lot of people, you know, use wool blankets in cars for emergency purposes. And I'm curious of what this will do compared to a wool blanket. I tested a wool blanket, which was the Israeli one, last year, and I got certain numbers with it. I'm curious to see if this Kifaru Woobie, being as lightweight as it is, will exceed those numbers or not. So what we're going to do is this is the sleeping bag clinic, if you will. A lot of people know this, have been watching this, but what we're going to do is I'm going to go outside for 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stand out there, have this Woobie out there, have the sleeping pad out there. Everything's outside for 10 minutes to kind of acclimate itself to the conditions. I'm then gonna get in the bag for 10 minutes and see how this warms me up over the course of 10 minutes. Usually you're gonna find out how good or how bad a sleeping bag is, or in this case a blanket, or yeah, I guess a blanket, Woobie. You're gonna find out how good or bad they are within 10 minutes. If it doesn't start to warm you up within 10 minutes, you know, it's probably not gonna do you that good throughout the course of the night. So let's go ahead and take this outside and see what numbers we get. So right off the bat here, you know, we're starting out at 36 degrees as far as the starting temperature of the thermometer, but the temperature outside is 30 degrees. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this is not to be used in 30-degree weather. This bag is like super thin. You can feel the chill from the bag, very much so, compared to a sleeping bag or even a wool blanket. I mean, it's just really thin, and I'm telling you right now, this is not going to go as I planned in my brain when I thought this was going to be an awesome test. But let's see what we get after 5 minutes. So here we are, we're at 55 degrees after 5 minutes, which is really admirable because, you know, compared to the Valentray Swing 500 and even the Mountain Hardware 20 degree sleeping bag, the Pinal, you know, we're only 3 degrees off of those guys, and they're sleeping bags. So the fact that this is warmed up to 55 degrees, you know, or like 21 degrees, or we're at 19 degrees, you know, increase, you know, that's pretty good for just using a blanket out here in the cold. So let's see what we get after 10 minutes. All right, so here we are. We're going to end at 62 degrees. It's a little disappointing because, you know, the fact that it heated up to 55 degrees after 5 minutes, I had a feeling that it would probably be in the mid 60s. It's in the low 60s, which isn't horrible. It's still the same as what the Israeli military wool blanket was when I tested it as a final temperature after 10 minutes. I really don't think it would get that much warmer, and it's just the nature of having such a thin piece of gear. You know, this is not going to be your only piece of gear. So 62 degrees is pretty good. If you're looking for an emergency blanket, I think this would be good because it has the weather shield, the rhino skin on the outside of it to keep you out of the weather as well. So there you go. It was 62 degrees inside of this bag after you know, 10 minutes in the bag. And I was really, oh, it's actually a blanket. It's a Woobie, whatever you want to call it. The Kifaru Woobie. But you know, after 10 minutes, I definitely was saying to myself, this is not meant for this temperature. But that's why I go out and do tests to kind of, you know, push things to an extreme, if you will. Where I think this bag would excel, though, is with a really lightweight sleeping bag. or a really light temperatured sleeping bag, and using this maybe on the outside of it as a shield to kind of keep it out of the elements. I think that's where this would really excel. And I think that's where the next application for me is going to be, is taking a lightweight sleeping bag or a really low or high temperature, like a 50-degree sleeping bag or 40-degree sleeping bag, getting a test with it and getting the baseline numbers of it before I put this over top of it, and then doing the test with this over top of it to see what kind of warmth will increase on it. So that's probably what we'll do next with this, because this is very versatile because it has that rhino skin on both sides. So you have that, that weather resistant material that really makes this versatile if you have it in the right situation. But using it alone, if you're going to use it as an emergency bag, if you're going to use it as a last effort bag, if you will, and in a backpack, if you will, it's going to do a job of keeping you warm. But when you get down into 32 degrees and below, it's definitely going to be challenging for this solely to be the bag that's going to warm you up. So that's my findings. As far as it's USA made, it's made very well, and it has that rhino skin, has its own stuff sack. I mean, I can't say enough about how it's made. It's just, you get a certain point with sleeping bags and blankets, if you will, that they're just not going to perform very well. And this bag, 35 degrees and below, is really where I would keep this above 35 degrees. They do make another one called a Doobie. I think it's called a Doobie, which is a 4 ounce. This is 2 ounces per square yard. A Primaloft, they make one that's 4 ounces. Now that one I think I would feel comfortable with in 30-degree weather. But I only have this one right now, and based off the tests, I definitely believe we could probably get another 3 to 5 degrees at the end of that 10-minute test if we had 4 ounces per square yard of the Primaloft insulation. So I think it performed well, and we'll keep testing it and keep trying to find the best applications that we can for it. Like I said, using it in conjunction with a sleeping bag is probably going to be the best situation you can get with it. But I definitely think it performed well for just being all by itself out there in 30-degree weather. So if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. If you guys have Kifaru Woobies or anything from Kifaru that's sleep system related, go ahead and leave it in the comments or make a video about it. And until next time, later. This microphone better work. I'm gonna come right through that camera. Microphone doesn't hurt no one.